Now hold on just a second, brother. Don't click off that video just yet. While this video may not be completely related to wrestling cards per se, it is definitely wrestling related, which I'm a fan of. You're a fan of. You're watching this channel. After all, fandom is why we collect cards, right? So in this video, I'm going to take a look back at the wrestling history associated with Disney World. Stick around and find out. What's up, wrestling fans, trading card collectors? Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Cards. So during a trip to the most magical place on earth...
This is what we used to call the loft, okay? And up here...
No, I'm not talking about the ECW arena.
Let's go back and see what the dressing room looks like. Let's do it.
No, not that either. I'm not talking about the ruins of the world-famous Dallas Sportatorium. I'm talking about Disney World, more specifically Hollywood Studios. And while I was there, it hit me just how much wrestling history is associated with this place. And most of you out there that have consumed any of my content at any point for any length of time know how much I love wrestling history, and if you're on my social platforms, you probably know how much I love amusement parks and theme parks. So the mashup of the two, excellent. But I wanted to make a video about it. I want to continue to talk about professional wrestling history, tie that back with moments and connections that we have, and then the wrestling cards that represent those. So growing up watching WCW syndicated shows, I always loved the fact that they would do some of these at the Disney parks. As a kid, I thought this was awesome. I was like, oh, I could go watch wrestling and ride the rides? So when I was there recently, I was just in the park soaking up those moments, remembering watching TV where I was standing at that moment, and that's why I wanted to put some of that into this video. Now, I know that may seem corny or stupid or a waste of time to some people, but frankly, I don't care. As I said, fandom and connection with events and nostalgia is very important to wrestling fans, and then that in turn relates back to the collecting of cardboard or collectibles and being able to tell the history of those moments through those collectibles. So let's get started. In 1993, WCW began taping their syndicated shows at Disney MGM, otherwise now known as Hollywood Studios. And if you were a wrestling fan at the time, I'm sure you saw these shows. Shows like WCW Pro or WCW Worldwide. Speaking of Worldwide, they had a legendary intro that people still talk about to this day that basically said, hey, if you're watching this, you know we are recording at a Disney park. And since a lot of the crowd at these syndicated show tapings were actually theme park guests coming in, I wonder, was WCW actually using this in conjunction with Disney as more of a commercial, an advertising ploy, if you will? Because a lot of these, you can get into the wrestling show for free. Not to mention, you could be featured on worldwide TV. But seriously, if you're at a theme park or an amusement park and you get offered to go into a wrestling show for free, why not? Especially there, it would be a great way to take a load off your feet, because if you've ever been to the Disney parks, you know how tired your feet get. Not to mention that Florida humidity, you get a chance to go in there, watch some awesome wrestling, and sit in the air conditioning. In fact, I think it would be awesome if more theme parks would bring back wrestling on a regular basis. Another thing that really stood out for these tapings is the studio setup. The small, intimate crowd setting, and maybe more importantly, what other wrestling company out there is putting a wrestling ring on some kind of spinning gimmick? Hey, maybe that's where FMW got their idea to 1 year later put a ring in the middle of a pool and have an exploding death match. In 1994, we had another huge moment with the WCW and Disney relationship, and that was the signing of Hulk Hogan. The official contract signing and the parade that led up to that was featured in Hollywood Studios, then MGM. I didn't get to watch it live, but I remember seeing it on replay not too long after it happened. I believe the original airing was live on WCW Saturday night, but again, I did not get to watch that live. This was a massive deal at the time. Hulk Hogan, for the first time ever, leaving the WWF after the rise of Hulkamania. What's going to happen? What's he going to do? He was out to clearly try and blaze a new trail in WCW. And what's interesting and kind of sad is most of the area that this was filmed in has been torn down or changed into the Galaxy's Edge area that they put Rise of Resistance and other Star Wars attractions in. This whole presentation with the parade and the contract signing, very cheesy, very 90s, and a lot of fun. And looking back at it now, it may have actually been a huge turning point for WCW overall as a company right before we got into the Monday Night Wars. In 1996, WCW filmed several episodes of Monday Nitro right in front of MGM. And these shows are what I remember more than anything. That intro would get you so fired up. You're getting ready to watch a couple hours of wrestling, hard-hitting action. Shout out to the YouTube channel, theTSW, for the video he did documenting and matching up all of the WCW Monday Nitro intro with the spots in MGM and where they were all filmed at. All the credit goes to him for this, and I've included the link in the show notes to his channel to watch this full video. Like I said, these Nitro episodes were filmed right outside the entrance to what is now Hollywood Studios, MGM at the time, and you could see the Tower of Terror looming in the background. I thought that was just awesome. Wrestlers out there wrestling, and then they could look up and see one of the most famous Disney rides ever. So when I got to the park on a recent trip and I got to step foot on that exact spot, I had to soak it in, man. It was awesome to soak in the fact that I was standing in these exact spots where the ring and the wrestlers were and where all the action was taking place. The area where wrestlers would enter from. The pyro would go off on top of the park entrance. Oh, and there was that one episode where Kevin Nash and Scott Hall were sitting on top of the entrance. And it was just awesome to stand right where all of that happened. Yes, that's right. All of those legendary moments that you remember on WCW Nitro happened right there. By the following year, WCW had moved a lot of its syndicated shows to Universal Studios, Florida. These syndicated tapings at Universal continued through 1998. However, after that, these shows were mainly turned into highlight shows, or they were just completely done away with. But we're not done talking about wrestling and Disney just yet, brother. Because we gotta talk about how much the Hulkster loves this place. Hulk Hogan can be seen throughout Disney World filming his now award-winning show, Thunder in Paradise. Here are some quick highlights of scenes from the show and where they were shot at. Shout out to Diz Quiz YouTube channel for this video. I've included the link below to the channel so you can watch this whole video. I don't know about you, but now that I've been to all of these filming locations and seen these videos, I think I need to go back and watch all of the Thunder in Paradise episodes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, taking a second to go back and look at the wrestling history associated with Disney World. As I stated before, I understand a lot of the stuff I talked about wasn't directly associated with wrestling cards. But remember, we collect wrestling cards for the moments, the nostalgia, and the connections they bring to us. And we can't provide those things if we don't have the history and the context behind them. What do you remember about WCW and Disney World? Were any of you actually at these syndicated tapings or events? Better yet, were any of you actually in the Hulk Hogan parade? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your memories or your stories about being there during this time. I hope this video provided you some entertainment and some value. If it did, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, and spread the word. Tell a friend. Tell a wrestling fan, a Disney fan, tell somebody about this channel, and hopefully they'll enjoy this. Before you get out of here, while you're down there leaving a comment about WCW and Disney World, make sure to check out the links in the show notes to all of the ways you can help show your support for my content. Links to my eBay store, links to my social platforms, the podcast, Patreon, and much more. And until next time, click the videos on the screen wherever they are for more great wrestling card content. See you there, pal.